Then you go back to the sideline, you stop and dance a little bit.
I think the game is fun for him again.
It might make sense for players in the NFL to want to celebrate after they manage to pull off a particularly tough touchdown, but not to the NFL authorities. So let me walk you through the 10 banned touchdown celebrations in the NFL. Number 10. Terrell Owens Sharpie.
And he pulled it out and autographed the ball.
That's a first. Who would even think of that?
After scoring a touchdown during a Monday Night Football game in October 2002, Terrell Owens used a Sharpie pen to sign the football he scored a touchdown with. That's right. I know it sounds crazy, but Owens literally pulled out a Sharpie pen from his sock and then he went on to sign the ball with it. He then presented the ball to his business agent. At that time, nobody ever dared to pull a stunt like this before, and everyone was shocked at this behavior. After all, players weren't supposed to sign autographs during games. You might be surprised, but the pen he used was later put on sale online for thousands of dollars by the person he gave it to. Even though Owens didn't get a lot of trouble for his actions, and was asked to never do that again so that other players wouldn't be encouraged to pull off similar stunts. Number 9. Davante Adams 360 dunk.
And it is Davante Adams with the touchdown.
Packers wide receiver Davante Adams scored a touchdown to give Green Bay a 17-14 lead over the Detroit Lions in the third quarter of Sunday Night Football. It was an important score in the game that would ultimately decide the winner of the NFC North, so Adams was very pleased with his performance. But the way he chose to celebrate didn't really sit well with the NFL authorities. This is because he went all out and chose to celebrate with a magnificent 360 dunk on the goalpost. After he did this, the referee at the end zone threw a flag almost instantly over this dunk. But the people in the audience were obviously amazed and enjoyed his performance. But fans did criticize Adams for his choice of celebration. Some highlighted how his dunk could have damaged the post, which would have had to be repaired, and that would waste a lot of time. Number 8. Hussein Abdullah.
When we were younger, we were like, oh, there's no way we can play sports and fast. She was like, we can't play sports. And we were like, well, we're going to play sports. I guess we got to fast and play sports.
It seems like the NFL really hates celebration. Even one player, Hussein Abdullah, dropped to his knees in prayer after scoring a touchdown on the interception run. The NFL was not pleased with his behavior. He was given a 15-yard penalty in 2014, and his actions were considered offensive. But fans called the authorities out immediately for discriminating against the religious beliefs of the player. They also criticized the authorities for being insensitive and asked them to apologize to Abdullah. However, officials later clarified that they were not aware that he was praying, and then they thought he was kneeling, which violated their rulebook. Number 7. Jimmy Graham's Gorilla Dunk.
That is caught! Jimmy Graham! Wow!
Gorilla dunks have been banned in the NFL for the longest time. So when Graham bent the goalpost at the Georgia Dome in the 2013 Thursday night game against the Atlanta Falcons, the authorities were not pleased. This happened after one of his touchdowns, and the player got so excited that he created a gorilla dunk moment and damaged the goalpost. The game actually had to be paused, so the goalpost could be repaired. After this, he also dunked the ball twice in the preseason, and he drew 15-yard penalties for his unsportsmanlike conduct during the games. It's safe to say that Graham received not just a lot of criticism, but also thousands of dollars worth of fines for his conduct. Number 6. Antonio Brown's twerking.
Brown has it! Touchdown, Pittsburgh!
The NFL is known by some as the no-fun league because of their harsh rules against players. Player Antonio Brown was penalized for twerking after his touchdown after the team had won against Washington on Monday Night Football. Brown also said he was fined for wearing blue cleats, but he wasn't fazed by the fine and was too happy to care. Midway through the third quarter of the game, Brown thrust his butt 5 times, which apparently goes against the game's rules because his actions were sexually suggestive and were in poor taste. Number 5. Joe Horn, cell phone.
There's a new one. He got his own phone. He hit his phone.
Joe Horn couldn't wait to talk to his mother after his touchdown, so he immediately dialed her as he was on the field. The New Orleans receiver did this after catching the second of 4 touchdown passes against the New York Giants. His teammate Michael Lewis handed him a flip phone, which he used immediately after his touchdown. The Saints coach Jim Haslett was very upset and said that Horn's actions were not reflective of the game and went against his decorum. After this, he got a lot of criticism from the authorities and was even fined for his actions. Number 4. Deshaun Jackson.
Whoa. I saw it live and it didn't look right, and you just can't do that.
In one of his games, Jackson had split the Cowboys' defense and was cleared for an easy 60-yard touchdown catch. After this, he tossed the ball behind him and had crossed the goal line. The ball ended up not crossing the plane, and Jackson lost his touchdown after a Cowboy challenge. It was not the first time, but probably one of the last that Jackson fell short of a sure touchdown because of his antics. But even though he tossed the football, people considered it to be an arrogant display of showmanship, and the NFL was not happy with his attitude. Number 3. Isaiah Crowell, rear end violation.
I wanted you to hear my voice and see my face and understand that I'm sorry.
Each NFL player has their own way of celebration after a touchdown, but some of these can be a tad disrespectful to the other players or the audience. And to avoid any defamatory lawsuits, it's the NFL's responsibility to make sure their players act appropriately on the field. So when Isaiah Crowell made his famous rear end move after he scored a touchdown, the authorities were not happy. After scoring a touchdown against his former team during a game, Crowell took the ball and wiped it against his rear end before firing into the stands. It was a viral moment and fans all over the world found it hilarious. But NFL authorities felt the move was immature and his actions did not reflect the values that players have to uphold on the field. Crowell even got a stern scolding from his coach Todd Bowles after this little stunt. But the moment he created was amazing and people applauded him for his quick thinking and funny actions. You might not believe this, but Crowell's action became so famous he actually landed a promotional deal with Dude Wipes, which is a company that sells toilet paper substitute for men. Number 2. Randy Moss, Moon.
And Randy Moss, without even really being able to run, as he shoots the moon to the fans here in Green Bay.
On January 9th, 2005, the Green Bay Packers hosted the Vikings in the wild card round of the playoffs. During this game, Randy Moss decided he would make history and leave his mark with one of the most innovative touchdown celebrations anyone has ever seen. So after he caught a 34-yard touchdown pass from Dante Culpepper early in the fourth quarter, Moss went over to the goalpost, bent over, and pretended to moon the Lambia field crowd. After this, he finished the game with 4 catches for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. As it turned out, this touchdown was the last one he caught during his first stint with the Vikings. And you might not believe it, but the crowd went absolutely wild during Moss's mooning celebration. It was iconic. But the authorities clearly don't appreciate players having a lot of fun on the field, so they decided it was a good idea to punish Moss for his actions so that he would not repeat them. For the NFL authorities, the act was childish and against the values of the game. This is why Moss received a $10,000 fine for his actions and was warned against particular celebration styles in the future. Number 1. Chad Johnson, Putt.
I got a great celebration for you guys. Again, just wait and see the next one. Okay.
Chad Johnson is quite literally the king when it comes to touchdown celebrations. He exhausts almost all possible touchdown celebrations and has gotten into a lot of trouble for it too. The Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver faced a lot of criticism for his celebration after his team's win over the Baltimore Ravens. Johnson grabbed an end zone pylon and used it to putt the football several yards after scoring a 54-yard touchdown pass. His actions were obviously appreciated by the fans, but the authorities were not happy with his celebration. According to the league, this action violated its policy against prolonged, premeditated, and excessive displays after touchdowns or victories. Did you know that Johnson also received a fine for his actions? That's right. The player was fined $5,000 for his antics and was given a warning of harsher punishments if he ever thought about doing it again. But the fine clearly made no difference to the player. After all, he earns millions of dollars in salary and bonuses, so paying $5,000 in fines can't be that hard, right? A lot of fans around the world think the same. This is why Johnson continued his celebration antics even after receiving multiple warnings and fines from the NFL authorities. So what do you think? Are these touchdown celebrations fun? Or does the NFL do the right thing by regulating the players and banning them? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.